from Game 7 after a quick word from FanDuel. It is winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It was a historic comeback for the Cavs, down 18 with just under 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. They come back to win by 12. It was the biggest comeback ever in a Game 7 in NBA history. I want to start with this, then we'll talk about some other facets. But we know what happened when they were down early. G left. Earl, Jay.
I left too. I went to clean my grill.
You went to clean your grill.
So, no, I came back at halftime. But
Earl, let's start with Earl on this one then. When they were down 18, did you think it was over? Did you still think they had a chance?
And
in your opinion, what sparked the comeback? What was the one play? What was the one player? What sparked the comeback?
So let me paint the picture for you all. You know, introductions come and go. The crowd is going crazy. And it's just like in a blink of the eye, the Cavs are getting their ass kicked. They separated me and Mike yesterday. Mike, I think, is two rows below me. I text Mike, and I said, this not good. He said, no, this is ugly. And in my mind, I'm planning what questions I'm about to ask Donovan Mitchell and JB Bickerstaff after this game, because I'm probably
What's next for you guys?
I'm not about to see JB no more after this. I thought the Cavs was dead in the water. I thought it was over. The energy in the building was gone. The frustration was at an all-time high. Like, to be around a bunch of angry, pissed off Cavs fans in that particular moment, it was not pretty. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they came down and missed like 2 or 3 straight shots. Evan Mobley had 2 straight turnovers. And the next thing you know, going up the court, the boos just started to ring out all over the arena. And in between like TV commercials and timeouts, Ahmad was doing his best.
But it wasn't working.
To get the crowd into it, and it just absolutely was not working.
Oh, man.
Like, people thought this was over, and they could not believe that it looked like the Cavs were about to get blew out on national TV at home in the Game 7. And so to see them flip the switch the way they did, the resiliency, I got to give them this credit, because for as much as we talk about them not being mentally tough, for as much as we talk about this team not really responding to the moment, they got hit in the mouth. And yeah, they got down, but they beat that 10 count.
Okay, so without like listing the 10 things that happened, because obviously that's multifaceted. When you flip the switch on an 18-point deficit, it's not just one thing. But try to sort of boil it down. How did they do it?
He said this in the post game, and I remember
Donovan?
Yeah, he being Donovan, and I remember it in real time. Donovan Mitchell came down at some point, hit a 3-point shot, kind of stood there, took his time walking back up the court. And even though they was losing, you could kind of see that they had survived that blow. And from that moment in the second quarter, they started trying to claw themselves back in. When they got that to like 10 points before they got to halftime, I felt a little bit better about where this game was going.
So you think that the turning point was that Mitchell 3?
I think so.
When you look back at it, as you go back and I watched after the game was over, I had it recorded. I went back and watched it. What saved them was when they put Darius Garland on the bench and said, "Hey, Karis LeVert, you gonna do something?"
I felt the same way.
Karis LeVert came in and had 10 points, and he got to the lane. You know, his game is so unorthodox.
But God, is he athletic and
but,
fast.
But he came in and gave him that, and it kept it from being a 25-point game. Them 10 points kept it to within place where now we're within 10. And I don't know why it is. Mike could probably tell you basketball players is weird. Like, they strange. Like, they feel like 10 points. The 10 is the magic number.
It is, double digits.
If we get it to 10, I feel good about my life. And they got it to 10. And from that point on, they came out, and I think Donovan Mitchell in the second half got 2 quick layups. The game was down to 6. They went back and forth a little bit. And then I thought another key was the fact that the Cavs got into the bonus very early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
When they got to the bonus, you got guys that got able to get to the free throw line. And I think what happened is you started seeing the magic kind of melt a little bit. Like, there were some times where what's the name? Jalen Suggs was hitting threes, but there was a few times where there was a few forced shots. quick shots. They get the rebound. So I thought that period between, I would say 8 minutes left to go in the second quarter, throughout halftime into the third quarter is where the Cavs kind of took hold. And then Donovan Mitchell after that said,
"This is my game. Get out of the way."
To your point, during that stretch, I think it was a stretch to where Darius Garland had 2 points and 3 fouls, and I think Max Strus had 3 fouls.
Yeah.
Right. And so not only was the shots not falling for the Cavs, but the refs was quick on the whistle, and that can get into your head. You already losing. You can't hit your shots, and now the refs is calling everything that looked like ticky-tack fouls. What pissed me off is Max Strus wouldn't stop complaining. So it seemed like every time down court, okay, I'm going to call another foul. Another foul.
He made it worse.
So I got to give kudos to Karras for actually coming off the bench and playing like he had some damn sense yesterday.
Yeah, I think both of you guys hit nails on heads. I will have to say, there was, from the time it was 18 until it got to halftime, I didn't watch. And I didn't go back and look at it. I went outside. I said, I have better ways to spend my day. I was frustrated. I wanted to break something. I cleaned the grill. I came back in at halftime. My son Corey's in from Rutgers for the weekend. I hadn't seen him since Christmas. I felt guilty. Here I am. I got a big moment to share with my son. I'm out here cleaning the grill, pissed off. So I said, no, it's not how it's going to go down. I'm going to go down and watch the second half with Corey no matter what happens. Corey's a diehard. That kid never left the TV and never gave up hope. I sat there and watched, and I thought 2 things. One, Karis LeVert, big, gave them big moments. When at times you were looking around going, who the hell else is going to score?
Yeah.
And the other thing was, and this was, I think this was the biggest thing. They flipped the script on Orlando, and they started pushing Orlando around. They got physical. And Wagner, Mo, it just disappeared. And they didn't like it. Sometimes the best part of any movie is when the bully gets hit in the mouth at the end. Mm-hmm. And last night I thought if this series was a movie, you remember after Game 4 they were doing this to the Cavs?
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to relish that Game 7 when it's finally over. Because at that point I knew it's going 7. And I just thought, I'm going to relish the fact when at the end of this series they beat Orlando and they can say, but I thought there was a moment, and I don't know exactly what the moment was, but I thought there was a moment where they all looked around and realized and said, are we going to let them continue to give us wedgies in front of the national television audience, or are we going to fight back? And it was the scene in the movie, the second half, was when the bully finally said, no. Bam. Square in the mouth, and everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And Orlando suddenly wasn't the team that they were the whole series.
Them shots
they
weren't
weren't falling. Although it was driving me nuts that they kept getting a long rebound on the threes.
That
on the
was
missed
annoying.
threes. I'm like, my God, it kept magically falling into their hands. Mikey, what was your turning point?
So LeVert was a great call, G. And Earl, you were in the building with me yesterday, so you can attest to this. I swear to goodness, I'm not joking. I think the turning point in the game is when Sam Merrill hit that first 3. And you could feel
wasn't that kind of a
threes.
moving 3 too?
Yeah, and he had 2 threes in the second quarter.
That was
he
a
had 8
good
points
one.
in the second quarter.
Yeah.
You could feel, and I'm telling you, the crowd was dead. Boo birds every time they called timeout. And Merrill hits that first 3, and you could feel them just get a little twinkle of little light, like,
wow.
Hey, this in here. And then LeVert came down and scored a bucket, G. And LeVert and Merrill, that second unit in the second quarter, started what turned into an 18-point deficit to a 10-point deficit. And the second Merrill 3 forced Orlando to call a timeout. And no, that was the first time in what was, I would say, 5 or 6, at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, crowd erupted. And after the game, Paolo Banchero said, yeah, the crowd played a factor. Cleveland's crowd was awesome.
Yeah, in the second
and that
half,
was
they were great.
the second Merrill 3 was the first time that it got a chance to fully erupt. And that was what sparked their offensive run to end the second quarter. And then once halftime hit, the third and fourth quarters, their defense
so
obviously
it's interesting,
turned around.
like, it
but
was
it's
kind
the
of the
Merrill
role
and LeVert
guys.
minutes that allowed them to claw back into it and stop it from being a 25-point game like G mentioned and turn into a 10-point halftime deficit, which in basketball, that's like 3 possessions.
Look.
It feels like
No, you're right. And it stops first of all, when you hit a 3, not only does it stop the bleeding, when you're on a drought, it gives you hope that you can make future 3s. Role guys.
Yeah.
LeVert. And by the way, we had an all-time great performance. Only one player this blows my mind. In the history of games 6 and 7,
that's crazy,
scored more points, and that's Allen Iverson, and he did it by 1.
We're going to talk about Donovan in 1 sec. Let's talk role players, then we'll spend a ton of time on Donovan. But you're right. LeVert, Merrill, Isaac Okoro's defense in the third quarter was a game changer. They got contributions up and down the roster. They didn't get enough from DG and Mobley offensively, but
Not
the
even
other
close.
guys who played contributed exactly what you needed to win. With the lights at their brightest, with the pressure at its highest, when it mattered.
You know, I thought another moment that it sort of solidified the win because the Cavs were already up, but it was teetering. I think they'd gotten it down to 7 or 8. DG missed a 3, a wide open look.
Yep.
The rebound comes out, it kicks around to Donovan Mitchell.
Isaac Okoro got the rebound.
Okoro got the rebound. He gave it to Mitchell. Mitchell instantly fed it over to DG.
In the corner.
In the exact same spot. And he didn't hesitate, and he pulled the trigger. Imagine if that shot doesn't go in.
Hey, listen, rewind.
Because I'm yelling as he's firing the second one. I'm like, no!
DG turned around and looked at the crowd.
I know it. That was the moment. I think it gave them an 11-point lead.
It did. It was the dagger.
And that was a wrap.
And you know what? That's an embrace that brothers know all too well.
That was real.
This is also an embrace when me and Earl get the Jordans and they come in both of our sides. We bid it on them. He got the J's. I got the J's. And my hand is in Earl's braids back in the back.
No, you know what? It's so funny that you said that because in that moment, I thought, I can't remember another time. Now, obviously, this is their biggest moment together.
That's me and
But
G.
that's what it looks like when two brothers love each other.
And he telling me, we need that. We need you.
Where you been, dog?
That's me and G after 14,000 views on the Ultimate Brown Show after Browns weekend. That was me and G then. But, you know,
that was a real moment.
Listen, in the second quarter, you get Karis LeVert and you get Sam Merrill to step up and hit some big shots and some big moments. And he was due. Max Strus was due. He came out 13 points in the third quarter. JB Bickerstaff, due to players being in foul trouble, had to rely on the role players. And a game after Karis LeVert only played 7 minutes and scored 1 point, for him to respond the way that he did, where his team absolutely needed him the most, like that spoke volumes because he's been in that situation before. I think he was like one of only 2 or 3 players that had ever been in a game 7 before. And so for him to like use that playoff experience and step up and like come through for his team when they needed it, man, we wouldn't be sitting right here today talking about the Cavs moving on if it wasn't for Sam Merrill, if it wasn't for Max Strus.
The role guys got it done.
He has to listen. Max Strus, I remember go back to 16. The Cavs were so lethal back then because they could bring off the bench Kyle Korver. You had J.R. Smith that would shoot it like that. Channing Frye would shoot it like that. You need a guy that could come in and get lethally hot and hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threes in a row to push a lead or to get back into a game. He got to be smart how he use them. Obviously, Okoro's a better defensive player, but if Okoro's not making shots or afraid to take them, he has to get Sam Merrill in there for 3 or 4 little quick minute spurts to see if we get some offense.
Couple historical things. It's the first time the Cavs have won a series without LeBron James on the roster in 31 years. I wrote this down just because for those that have been around a long time, like me, and I think you might remember this. I'm not sure if you would. How old are you again?
I'm 42.
Yeah, you would have been 11. You remember this.
So was it against the
last
Nets?
time? It was the Nets.
Drazen Petrovic.
In 93.
Shout out to him, RIP.
The last time this happened, you had guys like Mark Price, and I believe Brad Daugherty was on that club.
He was the leading scorer.
I mean, guys, that feels like, because of the LeBron years, 2 different eras, that seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Series
And
was
they
only
had
5
not-
games
Jay,
back
I wasn't
then.
born.
No, you weren't
That's
born?
crazy.
Is this is the first time they've ever won a game 7 without LeBron James. Like, for an organization whose history revolves around LeBron James, this was a big moment. This was a really big moment.
It was. But you know what that talks about? Because I told Mike this. Man, what a fall from grace. Because as I was driving home, I'm not going to lie, I was excited as hell the Cavs won. I cannot remember the last time I was ever excited to see the Cavs win a round one playoff series. In fact,
No, because they were always expected.
I was always touch and go. I knew the Cavs would either sweep or win the series in 5. I never really wasted my time. I would really start getting into it around Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron is here. I knew what the assignment was. The Cavs was going to the NBA Finals. That's when we kind of like all chips in, let's see what's going on. But for me to have that internal excitement that I had, because, I was alive in 93. When I was a kid. I didn't know what was going on. Like, to hear those numbers and to know my level of fandom, it's like, damn. Like, LeBron has really, really taken this franchise to heights that was never thought of before. And to see this franchise finally have some type of success without him,
It's big.
it's big. It's huge.
They're going to
It's
continue.
big.
He's going to continue to do it because this series puts us on national TV while the Lakers are at home. LeBron will probably.
That's another key part of it.
LeBron will
He's
opt
home.
out. You at the house, and I want you to see what this team could be if you decide to come on down here and play for that mid-level exception. Come on now. We already got the draft picks. I was corrected by McNuggets. We do have a first-round draft pick. Bronny James will fit right on in. And guess what? We don't got to give nobody up. We don't got to trade nobody. You're not watching your team right now, and I'm glad he's at home watching the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wouldn't it be a surreal moment if Bronny was a Cavalier and LeBron did come home and watching that first game with both of them in the same uniform? Bronny grew up watching his dad dominate in that building.
Clip this. Woo.
Like, that would be a surreal moment. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, you never know. You never know.
With LeBron James,
But you could dream.
you could dream.
When you talk about off-season acquisitions, you never know, man. You might have LeBron James Jr., LeBron James, and Brandon Ingram as the
Earl,
new faces
I
of the
love
Cavs.
where your mind's going, but we still got a season to
knows?
play. We
Yeah,
can't
we're not
talk about
done.
off-season
We're not
'cause
done.
We still
Who
got a
knows?
season to play. A big reason for that
a longer
was
lineup,
Donovan
though. That's
Mitchell.
all
We're going
I'm
to talk
saying.
about his heroics